Gaara has been taken by the Akatsuki. They've made their first move. Tsunade said to Naruto, Hinata, and also Temari, who was standing beside them nervously. Do we know where they went? Temari asked. No. Kankuro was injured while pursuing the enemy, but he was poisoned, and the Sand's medics have no clue how to treat him. I want to send the two of you and a few others to the Hidden Sand. Help Kankuro and rescue Gaara before they extract Shukaku. You are to leave as soon as your team has been notified. Got any suggestions? Naruto asked. I want to send an extra medic in case this poison is a problem, so Sakura will be alerted. I also want a Jonin to go with you. No offense, Naruto, but you aren't as experienced with high-rank missions. None taken. I would prefer Kakashi. His Sharingan will be helpful, since Sasuke is unavailable. So, you want me to join you? I'm honored. Everyone turned to see their favorite one-eyed Jonin in the doorway. He walked inside. I would like to greet you properly, but it would seem there are more pressing matters. Naruto nodded. Once Sakura gets here, I can teleport us to Gaara, grab him, flash away, and then get to the sand to heal Kankuro. He formed a single-hand ram sign, spreading his senses out. Just let me find his Hiraishin marker. He paused for a few moments before biting his lower lip, uttering one of the Nara clan's signature phrases. How troublesome. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi asked, slipping the book he had been reading into his pouch. During the joint tuning exams, I made sure to send Hinata a kunai with my newest Hiraishin marker to give to Gaara. Unfortunately, that version still uses a decent amount of chakra. Plus, I can't even sense it here. That means we will have to get to the Sand Village before I can try using the Flying Raijin to find him. Temari tensed, her worry coming back in waves. Naruto turned and gave a foxy smile. Don't worry, Temari. I promise that I will bring back Gaara, no matter what. Temari gave a faint smile in return. She turned to leave, saying that she was going to gather her belongings for the journey home. They had a 3-day run ahead of them, but Naruto had a way to cut it down to a little over 1 day. He, with help from Jiraiya, had improved upon the single-use paper tags made to increase a person's speed he had created many years ago. Naruto and Hinata flashed away to prepare, as did Kakashi. Less than an hour later, the four stood at the village gate, accompanied by Shikamaru. Sakura arrived moments later, allowing Naruto to take in her new look. She had her hair tied back in a high ponytail, her red headband in her normal style. She wore a red long-sleeve shirt with pink flower petals along the wrists and neck. She wore black pants, sandals, and sash around her lower body. She had a short mini skirt that came down just above the knees. She had gray gloves which had various seals written on them where she kept supplies. You certainly matured, Sakura, Naruto said, impressed by her attire. Sakura smiled. Thank you. You don't look too bad yourself. Let's not waste time, Kakashi said, placing the speed-boosting tags on his legs. The Kazekage needs our help. Everyone nodded and dashed away at top speed. Temari hung back, speaking to Shikamaru for a moment before catching up with the others. Since when were you and Shikamaru a couple? Naruto asked evilly, seeing the blush on his fellow blonde's face. Nothing's going on, we're just friends. Let's just focus on the mission. Naruto shrugged and dropped the subject. The remainder of the journey was carried out in silence, with the two Jonin whispering amongst each other. They stopped once to sleep, before arriving in the sand shortly after. They ran through the gate, with Temari only stopping to calm the guards down. Naruto made sure to slap a Hiraishin seal down at the entrance. They all ran into the hospital to see Kankuro unconscious, laying down on a table. Sakura and Hinata stepped forward, instantly taking control of the situation. Kakashi and Naruto watched from the doorway. They both have advanced far. In not that long they'll surpass Tsunade herself, Kakashi muttered. Naruto agreed. He moved away and sat down on a bench outside the door. He sat up straight, performing a single-hand ram sign, spreading out his senses. Kakashi watched as his eyes narrowed in on his fingers. Found it. Kakashi raised his brow. Got a reading on your kunai? Naruto nodded. Once Kankuro is stable, we'll move out. It's you! The White Fang of the Leaf! An old lady lashed out at the copy ninja, being held back by an elderly man. Chio and Ebizu, elders of the village, both held in high regards. You killed my son and his wife! They will be avenged! Naruto released a blast of ki that made everyone turn to him briefly. The medics went back to work as Ebizu sat Chio down, who was frozen from the blast of emotions. Kakashi stared at the old woman. I'm sorry, but you have the wrong person. The White Fang of the Leaf was my father. He's gone now. Chio's eyes brightened slightly. She looked at the man more carefully. His gravity-defying silver hair was the same, but he was too young. Well then, I hope he died a fitting death. Kakashi turned away. If you consider suicide a fitting end, then yes, he did. Naruto watched the interaction with interest. He knew the popularity of Kakashi's father, and the reason for his death. He was said to have strength that wasn't far off from the Sannin. The man was to be admired, the type of man Naruto wanted to be, willing to sacrifice the mission over his loved ones. Chio was taken aback, but made no further comment. She looked over at the two leaf shinobi treating Kankuro. She rolled her eyes. As always, relying on the other villages. The sand has grown weak since my time. She turned her gaze to the blonde, who was eyeing her with ice blue orbs. The look he gave her was unsettling, as if he was staring into her soul. Hey brat. Naruto retreated to his mindscape, the large form of Kurama sitting behind him. He looked down with his crimson gaze, Naruto's own slowly taking on their appearance. That lady. I sense residual energy left from Shukaku in her. What do you mean? Naruto asked, intrigued. She was the one to seal Shukaku inside Gaara. Since she was the one who sealed him, she has a piece of him stuck to herself. It doesn't give her any power. It's just a way to know who sealed him away. Naruto Uzumaki, my first host, had me sealed away by Hashirama, who also had a piece of me stuck to him. Your father did as well when he sealed me inside you before he died. She's the one? She's the reason Gaara was tormented day and night by that psychotic brother of yours? Naruto asked with rage. It would seem so. Naruto's red eyes stared at the old lady in front of him, his anger rising. He walked forward to stand inches from her. She looked up at him, seeing his slitted pupils. Consider yourself lucky I don't beat up defenseless people. Otherwise you would be dead by now. What are you saying? Chio asked with worry and confusion. You used that rotten excuse for a seal on Gaara. Do you have any idea how much mental torture he suffered because of you? If I had not properly sealed Shukaku 2 years ago, this whole village could have been destroyed by Shukaku if he gained control. Chio froze again from Naruto's focused anger. She knew the description of the person who had resealed the One-Tails during the Chunin exams, but now he stood before her. I was instructed by the Kazekage to implement the seal the way he desired. I was following orders. That's no excuse, and you know it. Any sane person would have used a proper seal instead of what was basically a glorified storage seal. Actually, any sane person wouldn't have sealed Shukaku or any tailed beast away in the first place. Chio was utterly shocked at the display of raw emotion the leaf ninja had for Gaara and the tailed beasts. She could tell that the blonde was not lying when he said he could kill her. She was still able to handle herself in combat, but Naruto was on a whole new level. It didn't take a genius to figure that out. Hinata stepped away from Kankuro, allowing Sakura to continue. She walked over to Naruto and rested a hand on his shoulder, his anger subsiding. Calm down. What she did may have been inexcusable and cruel, but it was fixed in the end. Gaara is Kazekage after all. Naruto's eyes shifted back to their normal ocean blue. He let out a sigh, nodding to his girlfriend. There were more pressing matters. Is Kankura going to be alright? Hinata turned back. Yes. We've identified the best way to remove the poison. It was incredibly strong. I have no doubt that whoever poisoned him was capable of much worse. Do you and Jiraiya have any data on members of the Akatsuki adept with poison? Naruto pondered. Nothing concrete, but we have heard rumors that one of their members, Sasori of the Red Sand, was skilled with them. Sasori? Chio whispered in shock, making everyone turn. You knew him, didn't you? Spill it, Naruto demanded. Chio's eyes were downcast. He was my grandson, a powerful puppet user, as well as in poison. He abandoned the village years ago, after his parents died. Hinata returned to helping Sakura, who was beginning to extract the poison slowly. The procedure took almost 2 hours, as they had to be certain it was completely removed. Once it was, Kankura was allowed to rest, with the poison being taken away in order to create an antidote. Unfortunately, there was no time to wait until one was made, so they had to move on and rescue Gaara. Naruto asked everyone to place a hand on him, with Chio insisting that she tag along. If Sasori was a part of this, she was going to be there. Temari opted to stay, knowing that Naruto would be able to save her brother. Once everyone was ready, Naruto focused in on Gaara's kunai, teleporting to the location. Chio let out a gasp of air, unprepared for the sudden jerk of movement that came with the flying Raijin. She looked at the blonde, amazed that he could use such a technique. She had no time to question him, however, as he immediately jumped to examine the boulder that stood before them, a seal written on it. He quickly read it over and pulled out his own sealing tools, getting to work on writing a counter seal. Hinata joined him as Sakura and Kakashi watched in fascination. Sakura was a low-level seal master and was interested to see her comrade work them out. Naruto finished writing the counter seal in 30 minutes with Hinata's help. Once this is in place, we can smash this boulder to bits. Sakura, would you like to do the honor? Naruto asked, having knowledge of the monstrous strength she had gained during her time with Tsunade. My pleasure, she replied, cracking her knuckles. Everyone took a step back as Sakura readied her fist, chakra welling up inside them. She charged straight for the boulder, her fist connecting. The stone shattered instantly upon contact. The dust clouded their vision, but Naruto could perfectly sense where Gaara was. From within the cavern, the 9 figures looked in shock. The 2 beings who were there physically readied for battle. The rest watched with interest. A kunai flew past them, a yellow flash grabbing the unconscious Gaara before flashing back. Naruto placed his hand on Gaara's chest, feeling for Shukaku inside him. He let out a huge sigh of relief. He's still alive, although half of Shukaku is gone. Everyone looked up to see a large statue standing against the wall of the cave. 9 of the 10 fingers on the statue were accompanied by the members of the Akatsuki. One of the statue's 9 eyes was partially open. Naruto assumed each eye represented each of the tailed beasts. As for what the giant statue was, he had no idea. The last of the chakra removed from Gaara was sucked into its mouth, which closed and began to recede into the ground. Sasori, Deidara, deal with the enemy. If that is not possible, then retreat, with or without the One-Tails. We have enough of it for the time being. Naruto's eyes focused on the being that spoke, his own eyes having a peculiar pattern. It can't be, Hinata whispered, everyone staring at the purple, rippling pattern. It's the same design as all the stories and legends. The Rinnegan. Naruto's eyes flashed red, Kurama growling within Naruto's mind. How dare he! How dare he have father's eyes! Naruto, kill him! Naruto threw a second kunai, which flew at the Rinnegan bearing shinobi. He flashed to it, slamming a Rasengan into his body, phasing through it. Good day, Nine-Tails, the figure stated before flickering from existence. Naruto growled as the other Akatsuki vanished. He made sure to catch a glimpse of Itachi's Sharingan before he too disappeared. The last to vanish was a man who wore a mask covering everything but his right eye, which he couldn't make out. He'd never seen this or heard of this member, so he made sure to check into it later. Sasori and Deidara looked to each other. Deidara pulled out a clay bird and dashed at Gaara. Kakashi and Hinata jumped away from him, while Sakura and Chio went after Sasori. Naruto ran after Deidara. As he did so, Kurama said that he would explain everything about the Rinnegan later. Deidara flew high into the air, raining bombs down on his foes. Kakashi created mud walls to shield them, while Hinata started to revitalize Gaara. Naruto appeared beside them. "Got any info on this guy, Naruto?" Kakashi asked, performing another mud wall. "I do. Name's Deidara from the Hidden Stone. He has a unique ability to create clay bombs using a special clay and molding it with the strange mouths he has on his hands. We don't know if it's a Keka Genkai or not. If we disable his hands, he shouldn't be able to fight much." Hinata looked up from her procedure to Kakashi. "I know you've been training with your Mangekyo Sharingan. Can you use that to deal with his hands?" Naruto looked at the man in surprise. "Mangekyo? When?" Kakashi rubbed the back of his head. "For a long time, actually. I just never knew how to use it properly until recently. As for this fight, I shouldn't. My Kamui ability takes time to charge up. Plus, I think Tsunade will want to keep his arm intact so we can learn more about his unique talents." "Stop talking and fight me!" Deidara shouted down. "My art is itching to kill someone." He threw a large bomb down, making it so the Leaf Shinobi had to move. Hinata retreated further away with Gaara, while the others stayed behind to fight. "Looks like I have to deal with you," Naruto said, jumping out to face his fellow blonde. Naruto jumped high into the trees as Deidara flew higher and higher. Naruto pushed off the highest branch. Deidara smiled, as his opponent was nowhere near high enough to be a threat. He was mistaken, as Naruto's body produced flames around itself. He then forced all the fire to his legs, propelling himself straight up until he was above the Akatsuki member. "I see he has found more uses for his Hell's Fire Dash jutsu," Kakashi muttered as he watched. Naruto sent a wave of shuriken and kunai at the enemy, who blew them away with another explosive. This caused the tags on the kunai to spew smoke in every direction. Deidara simply blew away the smoke with his art. Once he could see, Naruto was nowhere in sight. He turned in every direction, trying to see where he was. He felt a foot hit his head, sending him flying down to the earth. He twisted in midair and performed a hand sign. The bird that Naruto stood on exploded, making him jump off, falling towards Deidara. The Akatsuki member smirked. "Get ready to die by the hands of my art!" He threw a wide barrage of bombs, which covered Naruto's vision. And he was falling directly into the skybound minefield. Naruto smirked, diving down with no hesitation. Deidara chuckled, assuming the blonde had a death wish. His amusement dissipated as he saw the space his explosives occupied began to twist and warp. He watched from the corner of his eye, seeing Kakashi with his Sharingan open. His Mangekyo pattern was 3 oddly shaped points wrapping themselves around the pupil, sort of like a pinwheel. Slowly, the minefield was sucked out of existence by Kakashi's Kamui, leaving a path for Naruto to fly through. Once he was on top of Deidara, the enemy tried to ready another explosive. He had the wind knocked out of him as he felt a kunai pierce his arm. The seal that was wrapped around the handle caused him to go limp. He was helpless as Naruto slammed a chakra-enhanced fist into him. He landed on the ground with a sickening thud, kicking up a cloud of dust. Naruto used a wind jutsu to slow his descent and landed beside Kakashi, who quickly tied up Deidara. Naruto pulled out a scroll and sealed the defeated Akatsuki inside. He let out a sigh, moving fast to catch Kakashi from falling. "That Mangekyo sure takes its toll, I see," the blonde commented, helping the silver-haired Jonin sit down. Kakashi nodded as Naruto handed him a handkerchief to clean his bloody eye. One use is not too bad. I would say any more than 4 or 5 uses consecutively would keep me bedridden. Naruto nodded, leaving a clone with Kakashi before flashing away to Hinata. He found her helping the now conscious Gaara to his feet. Naruto? Is that you? The redhead asked in confusion. Naruto smiled. Yes, Gaara, it's me. Gaara limped slowly to Naruto, putting an arm around him. Naruto was surprised for a moment, but returned the hug. Gaara had changed a lot. Both of their expressions turned grim as Gaara clutched his stomach where his seal was written. A part of him. It's gone. Yes, Naruto said softly. They managed to extract half of Shukaku before we got to you. As far as we know, we can't get him back, at least for now. I'm sorry. Gaara nodded in acceptance. He will be asleep for a few days. Once he has recovered, the two of us will talk. Did you grow close to him over the past few years? Enough for him to acknowledge me, the Kazekage hummed in amusement. He was even worried for my safety during my fight with the Akatsuki. Naruto nodded. He passed Gaara back to Hinata, saying that he had to see how Sakura and Chiyo were holding up. After telling her where Kakashi was, he flashed away to the marker he had left on Sakura. He appeared beside the two women in the blown-up cavern, hundreds of broken puppets scattered across the battlefield. One of them had a face identical to that of an old photo of Sasori. Naruto grimaced. He even turned himself into a puppet? Gross. Unfortunate, yes, Sakura said, kneeling over Chiho, her hands emanating a green aura. He only had one part of himself that was from his original body. He could transfer that piece to other puppets, in a way making himself immortal. We had to eliminate him. Chiyo let out a cough. Sakura focused back on her work. She got hit by poison senbon. Fortunately, it's the same poison she used on Kankuro. She'll be fine soon. Before he died, Sasori gave us some useful information. About the Akatsuki? Naruto asked. A former member, yes. Orochimaru. Sasori said he has a spy working for him. He said they have a rendezvous set up. Naruto pondered. Orochimaru was a pain in the leaf's backside. Although the chances of a spy being alive under the former Sannin was slim. He was careful who he took under his control. He pushed the thoughts away. As Sakura healed Chiho, Naruto went around, picking up the broken puppets, intending to hand them over to the sand. Perhaps Kankuro could make use of them, being a puppet user himself. He hesitated when he moved to seal Sasori's broken shell, but went through with it. He turned around to see Kakashi, Hinata, and Gaara appear with his clone, which popped out of existence. Chiyo was slowly rising to her feet, the poison removed from her system. Lord Kazekage? You're all right, Chiyo stuttered out, walking over to her village leader. Yes, Lady Chiho, I am well, Gaara replied. As are you. Chiho nodded, turning back to the Leaf Ninja. Thank you for saving him. Chiyo's eyes were downcast. Lord Kazekage, I wish to apologize. First, for thinking your friends from the Leaf had no business here. Second, for something I should have apologized for a long time ago. There is no need, Gaara interrupted. I know you are the one who poorly sealed Shukaku inside me due to my father's request. I forgave you a long time ago. Besides, if you hadn't done so, Naruto and myself might not have become friends. Chiyo nodded in thanks. Naruto watched with a faint smile on his face. Hinata took his hand, his smile widening. Once everyone was rested, the blonde teleported everyone back to the entrance to the hidden sand. To say the least, shinobi and civilians alike went crazy over the return of their Kazekage. Gaara was practically engulfed by the people, the very same people who used to fear him above all. The team spent another day in the sand, allowing Naruto and Gaara to catch up. The following morning, they stood outside the gates, saying their farewells. Naruto and Gaara shook hands and the leaf ninja disappeared in a yellow flash. They appeared in front of Izumo and Kotetsu, who were as always watching the gate. Their tiredness was instantly gone, seeing the group appear in an instant. "Welcome back," the two stuttered. Naruto flashed them a smirk. The group walked down the crowded streets to the Hokage office. Once they were outside the entrance, Naruto made sure to place a Horizon marker down. They entered, Tsunade slaving away as usual. She looked up with a smile. "I just received a message about your mission's success. Well done." The returning shinobi bowed. "Were you able to capture any of the Akatsuki?" Naruto pulled out the scroll containing Deidara's unconscious body. He handed it to Tsunade. "We couldn't capture the second member, but he did give us some potentially useful information on Orochimaru," Sakura explained. Tsunade nodded. "I'll want a full report from each of you. I'll have Deidara brought to the interrogation center." "How's Gaara? I was told he had half of Shukaku extracted." "He's doing well. Better than you would expect," Naruto responded. Tsunade sipped her tea. "Good. Alright, as I said, I want a full report by tomorrow. Also, I want you to be at Deidara's interrogation just in case," the Hokage said, pointing to the blonde. The group was relieved for the rest of the day, allowing them to rest. Naruto and Hinata returned to their home, resting for the day before waking up to join Tsunade at the interrogation room. They stood on one side of the one-way glass. On the other side, Deidara was tied down to a chair. His arms were held by chains to either side of the room to prevent himself from molding chakra. Suppression seals were plastered on each of his limbs. "I've never been to an interrogation before," Naruto muttered, "but I'm already interested." Hinata nudged him in the shoulder. "If you say that, you'll have Anko breathing down your neck." Naruto shuddered at the thought. Just as he was getting the thought of the sadistic woman out of his head, the real one walked into the opposing room. Anko was accompanied by Ibiki, as well as a third person who wore a dark cloak. Anko knelt down in front of the now conscious Deidara. "Looks like I got a new plaything, and it's a blonde. You don't see a lot of those," Anko commented, scaring the hell out of both Deidara and Naruto. Naruto shivered once again. Ibiki stepped forward, taking a look at Deidara's electronic eyepiece he kept hidden by his hair. "This guy's gonna be tough to break, despite his appearance. Considering he had one of his arms destroyed and replaced recently is a testament to that." He pulled the eyepiece off Deidara's face, exposing his second eye. "Tsunade asked for a rush job, so you're up, Sasuke." Naruto and Hinata's surprised faces turned to the cloaked figure. The cloak was removed to reveal Sasuke. His hair is still the same as usual, but his outfit had changed. He wore dark blue pants, over which hung a black cloth that covered him from his stomach to his knees, which was secured by a black waist sash. His torso was covered by a white, long-sleeved shirt, kept open at the torso, and black arm guards that covered his forearms. Around his neck was a snake fang pendant identical to Anko's. Naruto caught a glimpse of Sasuke's black eyes before they became the Sharingan. He could see a faint shimmer of Anko's sadistic side within them. He knew Sasuke had been training with the Jonin since they were both subjects to Orochimaru's curse mark, but he didn't expect him to start picking up her habits. "How strong do I need to be, Ibiki-sensei?" Ibiki pondered for a moment. "I'd say an A-rank genjutsu will work. In 10 minutes, he should be willing to talk." Sasuke smirked. "I'll make him talk in 5. Anko walked behind Deidara and pulled his eyelids open, with Sasuke's Sharingan spinning wildly. "Deidara of the Akatsuki, you will tell us everything you know. You have no choice. You are now under my control." If you like what you just heard, consider hitting the subscribe button and bell icon to get notified about new videos. If there's a part you've missed, then check out the entire playlist on screen. If you like this story, please share it with your fellow anime lovers. Any support helps a lot. That's all for now. This is Ninja Kai. disappearing in a golden flash.